For many people, eating is something that just happens. But for some autistic adults, eating can feel stressful, overwhelming, and sometimes it's something that carries a lot of shame. Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Bays. I'm a researcher in nutritional psychiatry, and my work focuses on how nutrition impacts mental health, particularly in autistic adults. Now, I find one thing that often isn't talked about enough is not just the difficulty of eating, but the emotional weight that can come with it, the stress, the overwhelm, and often the shame. So, in this video, I want to talk about why eating can feel this way, what's happening beneath the surface, and how we might start to approach this more gently. When we think about eating, it's easy to imagine it as one simple task. But in reality, it involves many steps. Noticing hunger, deciding what to eat, preparing food, managing sensory input, and then actually eating. Each of these requires energy, attention, and decision making. So when multiple parts feel difficult at once, eating can quickly become overwhelming. And when something that seems simple feels hard, that's often where shame can start to appear. For many people, this doesn't come just from one moment. It builds over time. You might experience repeatedly struggling to eat, feeling like you're not doing it properly, comparing yourself to others, or being told directly or indirectly that this should be easy. Over time, your brain can start to associate eating with stress, pressure, and self-criticism. And that can lead to thoughts like, why is this so hard for me? I should be able to do this. What's wrong with me? That's not just stress anymore, that's shame. At the same time, there are very real things happening neurologically. Sensory experiences with foods like textures, smells, and temperatures can feel more intense or harder to process. And alongside that, your brain is also managing decisions, planning, and task initiation. So eating becomes both a sensory task and a cognitive task. And when both of these systems are under strain, it's completely understandable that it feels overwhelming. The difficulty is real, even if it's not always visible to others. This is where eating and mental health become closely connected. When eating feels stressful, it's more likely to be delayed, avoided, or become inconsistent. And over time, that affects energy, mood, and emotional regulation. But there's also another layer. Shame itself impacts mental health. It can lead to withdrawal, self-criticism, and feeling like you're not doing things right. And that can make it even harder to reach out for support. I think it's really important to name this directly. If eating feels hard for you and you've felt ashamed of that, you are not alone. And it doesn't mean you're failing. It often means your brain is managing sensory input, energy levels, decision making, and past experiences all at the same time. What looks simple from the outside is often not simple at all on the inside. So instead of asking, why can't I just do this? It can be more helpful to ask, what is making this hard right now? And how can I reduce the pressure? That might look like simplifying your food choices, lowering expectations, reducing sensory load, or focusing on consistency over perfection. And importantly, trying to remove some of that self-criticism if you can, because eating becomes a lot more manageable when it's not also carrying shame. If this is something you've experienced, I'd really value hearing your perspectives in the comments. And if any part of this resonated, you are not alone in it. You might also find my other videos on interoception, executive functioning and food, and sensory eating helpful as well. And if you're interested in more evidence-based, neuro-affirming approaches to nutrition and mental health, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.